Hi everyone. Today I'm going to do something special. I'm going to narrate a few chapters of my novel. Yes, a novel I wrote myself, which was edited by Private Dragon Publishing. Thanks to Jake and Samantha and all the team, I managed to have a decent novel written in English. As you certainly noticed, English is not my first language, it's not even the second, maybe not even the third. So I'll thank again all the team of Private Dragon Publishing for helping me to get it done. So I'm going to explain a little bit the set of the novel. It's a dark fantasy thriller set in ancient Egypt, Middle Kingdom more specifically, during the reign of Pharaoh Mentuhotep II, who was king of Upper Egypt or Southern Egypt, before he reunified Lower and Upper Egypt and making it a whole and powerful nation. So the story is not about the pharaoh himself, but one of his nomarchs, which means a sort of governor. The heroine is a young maid named Neith, who noticed during her work strange facts and even scary facts, and she decided to ask the help of her friend Ahmes, who works at the temple of Mentuhotep as a priest disciple. The novel is called Ancient Mysteries of the Dark Papyrus. So let's get started. Chapter 1. Thebes, Egypt, year 2022 BC. Standing on the balcony at dawn, Neith was looking at the rare white clouds floating in the sky. Sirius, the sacred star, was shining bright on the horizon. It was the first month of the season of the inundation, first decan, the first day. From the big property, Neith was able to see the beautiful winding Nile, which was expected to flood soon. Neith was a 19-year-old housemaid, living and working at Nomarch Menes' domain. Devoted and possessing a good temper, everybody at Menes' house liked to deal with the young Neith. Her position of the Lady Nomarch's first maid required full-time attention and a great sense of anticipation, and Neith was perfectly succeeding at fulfilling her tasks. Work was something important to Neith, and being at the service of Menes' wife, Satamon, provided her with a lot of it. The young maid was responsible for her meals, her baths, and every single thing the mistress might need. The morning was quiet. Some craftsmen were walking quickly to regain the cliff located in western Thebes, the place that King Mentuhotep chose to edify his future mortuary temple. The first day of the year had always been a festive day in Egypt, so, as usual, a party was supposed to be thrown tonight at Menes' house. But the night before was New Year's Eve, and it was particularly odd and scary for Neith. How could I work on the party's preparations after such a night? She thought. Indeed, Neith witnessed some strange facts that troubled her extremely. I need to speak to Ahmes about it, even though I can't imagine him finding a sensible explanation. Ahmes was a priest's disciple, living in the temple of Mentuhotep, and because of his special skills and sharpened intelligence, he was occasionally Menes' healer. Neith met him a few days after she was assigned to Satamon's service, and since then, from time to time, they would have spiritual conversations, and those were very agreeable moments for the young maid. Mistress Satamon will wake up soon, I must hurry. Neith put some order in her long and braid hair, rubbed her beautiful dark eyes, wiped out her anguish, then quitted the balcony to deal with her daily work. Today, Satamon took her breakfast like she did almost every day, early. She then demanded to have her bath. While she was relaxing in the milky, lukewarm water in the large pool made of soft marble, she asked Neith abruptly, "Did you notice something?" Odd last night? Neith was not sure about what her mistress was talking about, but she instinctively felt that playing innocent might be the best idea. Odd, mistress? Sataman smiled, then added quickly, I'm asking you about what you may have noticed last night, during your shift. I didn't notice anything unusual. Sataman interrupted her. You know what I mean. You certainly saw a few things, and I was wondering if someone else... Oh, lend me soap. I was alone on the balcony. I can hardly imagine how... Neith stopped talking, as she was giving the soap to her mistress. I have faith on you, Neith, but are you completely sure that everything is all right? Sataman asked. I'm quite sure. I stayed all night on the balcony, as you asked me to. All right then, help me apply the thyme ointment. I need to relax. Neith knew she could not speak a word about what she saw. Chapter 2. Sataman's banquet went very well. The guests feasted with 5 sorts of bread, jars of wine, and fresh ceremet, the luxury beer of Pharaohs. There were also grilled fish, watermelon, grapes, and pomegranates. Sataman was wearing a long green calaziris, 4 golden braces, and an emerald necklace. Her wig was made of fair hair decorated with turquoise, and her makeup was perfect. Layla, one of the closest maids to Neith, whispered in her ear, You did a great job. The next day, Neith decided to pay a visit to her friend Ahmes. Wearing a white linen sheath dress and no sandals, Neith enjoyed walking barefoot. The feeling of the sand under her feet was more than agreeable. It took her about an hour to reach one of the greatest monuments of Thebes. Montu's temple was a large building made of huge, cube-shaped stones. The waters of the sacred lake on the left of the temple were quiet and beautiful, but above all, they were rare. All the ponds and rivers of Thebes were dependent on the Nile's flood. The plantation behind the temple relied exclusively on the waters of the lake. As she was heading up the walkway, Neith could see some young disciples managing offerings in a few of the storerooms all around the lake. Neith entered the pathway leading to the temple's gate. A walk on such a road that brings up a certain sense of liberty and greatness to anyone crossing it, even a modest servant or young maid. From either side of the lane, the lion-sized sphinxes seemed to follow the passers-by with their big, sculpted eyes. Neith arrived at the gate, located between 2 great edified pylons representing the goddesses Isis and Nephthys, sisters and also respectively the spouses of Osiris and Seth. Isis is the life protector, while Nephthys was the keeper of the dead. At the gate's entry, the young woman hesitated. How could I explain myself to Ahmes? The facts I'm willing to reveal are incredible. He will certainly laugh at me. Or worse, he'll declare me insane. She assembled her courage and decided to continue her mission, and crossed the gate. Neith knew it was forbidden to go farther than the portico court, so she stood between 2 columns, waiting for Ahmes. He'll show himself eventually. After a while, Ahmes came out of the hypostyle room, and as soon as he saw his friend, he walked in her direction. The young woman greeted the priest disciple with a wide smile. Ahmes was a 27-year-old good-looking man. His dark eyes was mysterious, and his head was shaved like all priests and disciples. Welcome, young lady. Why wasting your day off to visit a boring temple? Ahmed said with an eye wink. I don't find it, started Neith. You're a young and healthy girl. You need to find it boring. Ahmes interrupted her with a laugh. Neith was confused. All her diplomatic skills vanish when her shyness takes control over her. Ahmes came to help. Is your master ill or... Oh no, everybody's well, or seems to be, I should say. Interesting. I bet you are suspecting some trouble, aren't you? As always, Ahmes was concise and precise. Neith smiled, then told him about the events she witnessed. May I ask you a question? Of course you may. Why didn't you intervene and save the lady when you saw the fireball? Neith blushed extremely, then tried to explain. I was summoned to stay on the balcony and my mistress told me she was expecting a visit. Anyway, I thought... Neith couldn't pursue. I understand, Ahmes said with a smile. Don't you laugh at me? Neith asked with a little tension in the voice. Either you are telling the truth, which means the situation is serious, or you have experienced hallucinations, so that would be even more complicated, or you are teasing me brazenly, and in that case, yes, I should be laughing. I guess the most plausible explanation is me hallucinating. The plausible is not obligatory the truth, replied Ahmes. In addition, once you witness unbelievable facts, they instantly and definitely become true. And what do you think those events really were? Tricks used by priests to fool people? Ahmes said with a little smile. Listen, I've always lived in a practical and realistic world, like how most people do. Hearing about a magical healing or an infinite cursing is really far from my simple world. I am sorry to point out some doubts about those things in front of a priest, but it's more like I'm doing it in front of a friend. Despite her shyness, Neith never managed to play hypocrite about her beliefs and thoughts. Pardon me, my friend. This is not a judgment about your job or beliefs, Neith added. I understood you perfectly, and I didn't take that personally. In fact, I'm thinking quite like you, deep inside. So then, what is your opinion about magic? I'm not quite sure of it, Neith admitted, but I heard once about some old and sage historians who discovered a few old kingdoms' papyri. I believe I've heard something similar. Actually, there might have been mentioned certain occult practices. Anyway, I'm sorry to bring up the strange facts again. I believe you are dealing with a complicated issue here. You need to know more about it. I'd like to, but I don't know the first thing about it. You need to be more assertive. Assertive? The word clung to her lips. Yes, I mean, you might know a lot about the situation if you consent to be less shy and more enterprising. You think I should investigate? Who else could do it? Or maybe you're afraid? No, I'm not afraid, Neith objected. Nevertheless, you should be. But whatever this is, I'm sure you can face it with intelligence and bravery, Ahmes said with an encouraging tone. I do hope so. Chapter 4. It was about lunchtime when Neith entered Menes' property. The scenic entryway was quite large, and it was decorated on both sides with small sphinxes. Neith slowed down to enjoy the garden's beauty, but her thoughts scattered. Neith, my dear, long time no see, how do you do? Neith turned her head left. Jed, the old gardener, was greeting her with his usual paternal smile. I'm fine, thank you. What about you? Still alive? It seems they are in no need of me in the vast afterlife Amenti. Let's say we still need you here. No one could grow lotus like you do, Neith said. Thank you for your kindness. Here you are, blue lotus. Neith thanked the old gardener, then continued to walk. At the end of the driveway, and just when the young maid entered the house, she heard a violent and frightening woman scream. A few guards and maids ran all around the ground floor to see what happened. Another scream was heard. The noise came out of the kitchens. Kahai, the maid, clung to Neith's left arm. "What do you think is happening?" Neith couldn't answer. The two girls kept staring at the corridor leading to the kitchens. The cook's assistant, an old and thin woman, came out, supported by two guards. The old woman was looking pale, and there were red stains all over her robe. "Is she injured?" Kahai asked. "She seems more shocked than injured. I think something awful happened to someone else," Neith answered. "A horrible accident," one of the guards murmured. "There's nothing we could do for him, poor soul," the house manager spoke as he came out of the corridor. Neith took the opportunity to ask him, "Who had an accident?" "The cook. We found him impaled on the stove poker." "How can such a thing happen?" Kahai asked, horrified. "He must have fallen on the stove poker, which was put in a jar while climbing a chair, certainly to catch something on the shelf." "This is horrible." Neith headed to the kitchen's corridor. "You shouldn't go there, Neith," the guard shouted. Fulfilling her mission of investigation, Neith replied, "But I have to bring to mistress something to eat." With a disapproving face, the guard let her pass. Neith wasn't comfortable with the idea of seeing an impaled man, but she kept remembering Ahmes' encouragements, brave and intelligent. From the kitchen door, Neith discovered the horror of the scene. The cook was still lying on the stove poker, head hanging forward. The blood flowing from his body drew a red puddle on the floor. Neith shut her eyes for a few seconds. When she reopened them, she was seized with a strange feeling. Something wasn't quite right with this horrible scene, but the guards posted there summoned her to be quick so they could take care of the cook's body. Neith took a tray, then put some fruit and a glass of wine on it, then went out of the kitchen. Neith entered her mistress' apartment, but her mind was elsewhere. "Is there something wrong, Neith?" Satamon asked, almost immediately. "Oh, I'm sorry. You look pale, and the tray you brought me, I must say, it suits more a monkey than a lady," Satamon said with a mix of curiosity and humor. Neith couldn't help but tell her mistress that the cook had a lethal accident, forgetting to leave out the more gruesome details. "My goodness, you should have thrown that tray away. What if there was blood on it? Gross!" "I assure you, I said throw it away," Satamon spat. "I'm not hungry anymore anyway." "All right, mistress, as you wish." Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the story, you can purchase it via the link I put in the description. You will also find Private Dragon Publishing website link. And just to say, there's more to come. It would be my pleasure to narrate 2 of my short stories inspired by Algerian folklore, as Algeria is my home country.